This is the 2022 ATTE, and in this three-part miniseries, I'm going to be modifying this bad boy from top to bottom, inside and out. And I'm going to try and work in as many of your suggestions as possible, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. Today, you guys already know we're starting at the top, with the turret. This turret was really good, but it had two main issues. One being the ratcheted barrel. It looked really goofy and it made it hard to get good angles, and I'm sure we all know number two was the stud shooters. So after determining the issues that I had with it and the suggestions you guys had, I got to work. So you guys can very obviously see that I went the route of removing the stud shooters and adding on that dish piece that we've seen on every other ATTE before it. This dish piece is meant to represent the elevation axle, which allows the turret to go up and down. And we've seen it on ATTEs before, but this year they went the route of adding a play feature with the stud shooter there. And then around the dish piece, I just added a little bit more detail with some dark red Republic red. And on the front side of the dish pieces, I added a cheese slope on either side to help fill out this empty space and hide the differences in the plates behind it. Now going back to that elevation axle, like many people, I'm sure our first thought was to rip off the stud shooters and replace it with the dish piece we've all seen before. But this year I wanted to do a little something different. I didn't want to just add on this dish piece, I wanted to make this entire turret move more accurately. And that's what you guys have been seeing in this video. I've completely reworked the way that the turret is sit on top of the walker so it moves more accurate to how it does in universe. So on the original set, as we established, it comes with that ratcheted joint, which isn't too bad, but it makes it really difficult to get precise angles. And I didn't really get rid of that. If you really want to, you can still ratchet the barrel downwards to face down and shoot targets on the ground. Now you might be wondering why I went through so much work rather than just making the barrel posable. And that's because after adding the dish piece here, I decided I wanted to go full Canon with it. Rather than just having an illusion of an elevation axle, I wanted this entire turret to move how it does in universe. From any reference photo I could find, and even going back and watching some of the Clone Wars, it became clear to me that the barrel of the ATTE doesn't move up and down independently. It's the entire cannon that moves up and down. So that's why I added that ball joint in there. Now you have a lot more accurate cannon posability as to what your turret can do. And depending on how you position your gunner, you can get just a few more angles. If you want him to sit a bit closer, you can get a few more extreme angles, getting as steep as you can. But I prefer to leave him in a more comfortable angle like this. Now speaking of the gunner, I think I might have just called him a pilot. The gunner now has an entirely new chair build, and I tried to make it as canon as I could. So up top here we have this headrest with these pieces hanging off the side. It's very similar to racing headrests that we see here on Earth, that way to keep the driver, or in this case the gunner's head, in place while they're performing their operations. And then just underneath the headrest we have a skinny little backrest with that ingot piece right there. And you might have already noticed, but the entire gunner seat is actually on some clips, so you do have a little bit of customization as far as how you want your gunner to be sitting and how close you want him to this control panel. I prefer to leave him at an angle like this. He can still reach the control panel just fine, but he's still being supported by the seat we built. And then just in front of the seat, on the main body of the turret, you can see I've actually bulked it up quite a bit. I added some more slope pieces to help bulk up this armored section and make it look a little bit heavier. And then I took off that weird overhanging piece and replaced it with a smooth slope moving back. I'm not sure why LEGO opted for the front overhanging piece. Every photo I could find either had a sloped edge like this or a flat front edge. I'm not sure why they had that piece, but I swapped it out for a slope brick so it all meets in the middle there. And now this armored section actually looks armored, and it looks like it could protect all the mechanics that make the turret work. Speaking of the mechanics that make the turret work, let's take a look at the base of the turret. Now after seeing it from the front, I'm sure plenty of you guys are wondering why I didn't push it back so I could hide a lot of this. That's because if I moved this connection any further back, the turret would be sitting way too far back for Canon and it would look really wonky. As well, because it extends so far back, when you try and open this roof hatch, it would just run into the rear roof hatch and it would mess up your turret seat all the time. So I know that's not pretty for some people, but after a lot of trial and error, I'm incredibly happy with what I ended up with. From the side, I really don't think it looks too bad, and from the front, it's not the worst in my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to have their problems with it, and that's fine. I've been chanting about how I do things to Canon, and this is definitely one of the mods that I couldn't make Canon. There's just no way I can make this mechanism with the entire turret being in the proper spot on the walker look proper and make a proper rounded up edge to the entire cannon. Trying to figure out how to make this entire cannon move how it does in universe, along with making a cannon chair, was a difficult but really fun process. And that was just one of many mods that I did, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the future parts that we put out. And other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace, fellas.